as you know, we're going to have the talk of Paolo D'Ammassa, and is CEO and founder of Connexia, a leading Italian marketing and communication agency. Today, Paolo is a strategic marketing and communication executive leader, but in his background, he has a bunch of experiences in media, internet, and telco industries. So now he's going to give us some insight on the experiences that bring him to become an entrepreneur in marketing. So I'm gonna leave the floor to Paolo, and I can wait to listen to your experiences. Thank you.
Thank you, Alice. Hi, everybody. Thanks for inviting me. I hope I can inspire you with my story. It's an unconventional story, so no business plan, no plan, not really an idea. Just being in the right place, in the right time, having enough courage or craziness, I don't know, to start the thing. First, let me introduce my new buddy. It's a girl, and it's one of the best things that happened in this crazy year. It has 2 months. Her name is Blue, and it brings a lot of joy and happiness that are some of the ingredients that you need to start a new adventure. Go and play. So my name is Paolo D'Ammassa. I'm CEO and founder of Connexia, as Alice said. It's one of the leading Italian creative agencies. We combine creativity with data and technology, and with strategy and innovation consultancy, we also help our clients to accelerate their digital transformation. We are 145 professionals, 35 years old. It's average age, and that is a good mix of seniors and youngsters. Our revenues last year was around 18 millions, and it's about the same this year, despite the COVID-19 pandemic. We kept our numbers and the client. So how did it start? I started in advertising sales for a computer publishing company. I was there like 4 years, and at one point, it was 1994, 4 of the editors-in-chief of the magazines that I was selling advertising were among the founders of the first Italian internet provider, which was named Italia Online. It was, I said, 94, 95, and the company actually still exists. They hired me because to access the internet at the time, you had to go to a newsstand, buy a magazine with a floppy disk. I don't know if you know what was a floppy disk. Go back home, insert the disk in your computer, set up the modem, and here you go at the fantastic speed of 19.9 kbit per second. That is a fraction of 1 megabit. So it took like 10 to 30 seconds to download a picture, minutes to download a low quality short video. And I was there 1 year, and so they hired me to sell advertising on the magazine that you could buy in the newsstand to access the internet. But I was the 3rd employee, and so they gave me a lot of things to do, all the communication and marketing launch campaign, and I learned a few things. Then after 1 year, one of the shareholders, that was Il Sole 24 Ore, Il Sole 24 Ore, the Italian financial newspaper, I think they had 20% of Italian Online. They decided to sell their shares and offered me a job. And they offered me to go 3 months in the US. The job was about new technology that had a big sponsorship from the European community to study new ways of distributing the newspaper, because internet at the time was too slow. So they studied a new technology, satellite technology. So you could put a specific board in your computer, connect it to a dish, satellite dish, and receive the PDF of the newspaper at high speed, because it was impossible with the modem. And it was I accepted, and it was a kind of crazy decision because the internet was growing so fast. Italian Online was hiring 1 person a day, and as I said, I was an employee number 3. But it was challenging. I love the US, and it was 1996. There were the Olympic Games in Atlanta, in Georgia. And so in order to promote their technology, they wanted me to set up the transmission of 4 Italian newspaper in Atlanta. That was Il Sole 24 Ore, La Repubblica, La Stampa, and Corriere dello Sport. 4 main Italian newspaper. So we set up the technology, and because of the jet lag, we were receiving the newspaper around 6 p.m. local time. So we were printing a short edition of the newspapers and distributing to everybody, while Corriere della Sera and Gazzetta, they were printed in New York and coming the next day with a flight. So at 7:30 p.m. We were distributing the newspaper of the next day in Italy. It was I mean, it was a crazy and a very exciting experience, fantastic. But after 1 year, the European community didn't renew the sponsorship of the project, so the unit was closed. So I did a few marketing consultancy, and then an opportunity showed up. I'm an avid windsurfer. I like windsurfing, and I've been working a few summers as a windsurfing instructor in Sardinia, in Portopollo, a dream place. And so the windsurfing school was for sale. So that was the opportunity. And my father, I come from a middle-class family, very normal. My father just retired and wanted to move from the seaside. I grew up in Milan, and my father is from Naples, so he was missing the sea and wanted to spend the retirement on the seaside. So I asked him if he wanted to buy the windsurfing school and move to Sardinia. He said yes. So we did all the duties. We did the business plan, the budget, the financials, and so on. So that was the project. But when we were near the closing, another buyer showed up, offered more money and shorter payment terms, and I got the school. So we lost the opportunity, and my dream was over. So I got back to Milan, did a few more consultancies, and then another opportunity came up. In Italia Online, I met a developer, and this developer had a lead from Deloitte, the consultancy company. They wanted to do the website because it was the very beginning, so nobody had a website. So all the companies were asking for a website. And he was a good friend of the guy at Deloitte, the developer. And so he said, I want you to do the job, but I can't assign the job to freelance, to consultants. You need to create a company to do the job. The job was about, the budget was 25 million liras. That is, there was no euro at the time. That is about 25,000 euro of today. And we said, okay, yes, let's do the company to do this job. So no plan, no business plan, no medium-term idea. Let's do the company. So let's find a name for this company to do this job. And I had a few names in mind, but they were all taken. So we sent an email to family and friends, and telling them, we are looking for a name for a company. And I have cousins in the US, and the husband of my cousin came out with Connexia. That was in the middle of communication and technology, the connection between communication and technology. There were nothing, so we went for it, registered the .com domain, and we did the job, the website for Deloitte. And once we set up the company and we told our friends and former colleagues that we set up a web agency. At the time, the name of those kind of companies were web agencies, agencies that were building websites. So all of them, they gave us a lot of projects. So Sole 24 Ore gave us a lot of projects. Italia Online gave us a lot of projects. Also, my very first publishing company, the name was VNU. They were publishing PC Magazine, Beat, some computer magazines. And also Mondatori, because some of my former colleagues moved from VNU to Mondatori. They gave a lot of work. Also, my former boss at Italia Online, he moved to Unicredit, so we got a lot of job also from Unicredit. At the time was the first Italian bank. Today is the first or the second maybe. And projects were mainly website and CD-ROMs because internet was very slow. So whenever you wanted to distribute videos, large size files, programs, you need a CD-ROM. You need a CD-ROM, and it was the new economy. So internet was booming. Everybody wanted websites, CD-ROMs. Phone was ringing. People was asking project. The pricing was crazy because I need a CD-ROM for the convention I have in 1 month. So I need to build a CD-ROM, print 200 copies to distribute to the convention. What do you want inside? We want this and that. So I was talking with my partner. Okay, what do you say? Oh, I say 10 million. There were liras, and so I was calling back and said, okay, let's do 30 million. And everybody was saying, yes, yes, it's okay. Because there were a lot of requests and very few agencies doing the job. So, I mean, sometimes I'm envious of the post-war period because everything, it was a very interesting time for the economy because there were a lot of opportunities. But I was lucky enough to live the new economy thing, and lucky enough to have the opportunity to move on during that period. And then also a few months later, Laura, my former boss at the publishing company, told me she had a client looking for a PR agency, and she said, why don't you take it? You know, all the journalists, you know how it works. I said, yes, why not? So a new stream of revenue came up, and that was a good move because in the next years, the digital PR, then the social media, everything blended, and at one point, it came that we had a lot of skills inside the agency, and they were already integrated. So there was a few years that it was really hard to explain what kind of agency we were, because there were PR agencies, there were web agencies, there were digital PR agencies, there were a lot of clusters. But we were a full service agency, and it was hard also to explain when we were like 30, 40 people, because companies were saying you can't do everything. but then the market went in these directions, these full service directions, because things got very complicated, and companies wanted to make it simple, and so they wanted a less number of agencies to keep things simple. And so we started growing and growing, and we went through a few, well, I would say only one difficult year, that was 2001, because we had the new economy exploding in March 2001. So all the stock exchanges went down because the internet had pumped the values, and at one point everybody sold everything, and the market collapsed. And the same year we had 9/11, and I remember exactly when we were in the office, one of the employees came to us and say, turn on the TV and see what's going on. And for 2 months, all the clients stopped the activities. And that was the only year in, 23 years of activity that we had a negative balance sheet that year. But we invested that time in building a few digital solutions. So the next year, the 2002, was a very good year. That year, end of 2002, was also the year when some companies came to us to acquire us. So we had the different, a few options. I remember there was a German web agency called SK2. They had already bought an agency in France, in Switzerland, in UK, and they were looking to buy an agency in Italy to create a European network of digital agencies. And the money were interesting, but we didn't get along with the people, because they wanted the majority. They wanted to have control of everything. They sent us the business plan in German, and so we said, no, we still want to do things. And then some other people came up, incubator that was created by two ex-McKinsey partner, and they wanted to create, to aggregate like 10 to 20 Italian independent digital agencies and go to the stock exchange. And but it was paper on paper, all papers, no money involved and also it was not a clear thing. So we stay out. Then we met another company called Visiant. It was a kind of IT company, system integrator. They already had 20 other companies. They wanted to move through communication and marketing, and they did an interesting offer. So they wanted to buy 51%. They left us the 49%. And they say, you keep on running the business, taking decisions. We only take care of the financial parts. So we said yes. And it was a good choice for a few years, because we learned a lot about financials, because we were good at our job, but we didn't know anything about all the financials, the management control process and everything. So it was very interesting to learn that part. also because it was everything new for us. Also, the growing process was new, because it was not the situation that we have been working in a big company and then we decide to start up our own company with all the learnings done in the big company. No, it was everything new. And so we stayed there a couple of years. That at one point we kind of got in conflict because we were paying a kind of 2% fee every year, 2% of our revenue for some services. They want to double this fee and they did a strategic business plan that was focused only on the companies of the group that were doing more than 10 million euro revenue. At the time, we were still at 4 million about revenue, and so we said no, we don't want to do that, and we want to buy back our shares. So we had a couple of months, tough months, discussing this, but at the end they said yes, and we bought back the 51%. With the help of the banks, but we did it ourselves, and that was also another very important point, maybe the most important and most difficult to buy back. And we paid 3 times what we sold 4 years before, because in the meantime the agency had interesting growth. Then we stayed alone another 3 years until 2009. We had a different engagement from different kind of people, because we were still keep on growing. But in 2009 we had the encounter with an Italian entrepreneur named Marina Salamon, and her proposal was interesting, and we accepted it. So she bought the 70%, and we kept on running the business. And we had a few years of assessment, and then in 2015 we started growing interestingly again, and until today, where we are still growing. I mean, this year we are kind of flat, but we consider it a very interesting result, also because our industry in Italy did minus 15 to minus 25%, and that's basically the story. And I have a few takeaways before moving to the questions, and the takeaways are very simple. So as simple as that. So the first one is that if you do a good job, people will remember you. Easy. And if you are also honest and gentle, also when saying the truth or uncomfortable things, people will remember you. That's what happened when we said we start up the company, and all the people we have been working with, they gave us a lot of projects because we had a good reputation. We did a good job with them, and so they say, why not? We need that. Let's go for it. Second is build relations. We could have not done it without relations. The relation with the Deloitte guy that gave us the first work, and the relations with all the former colleagues that gave us a lot of jobs. So invest in it, because it's an intangible asset that you will leverage at some point in your life. Third is business plans. They are important, but if only 10% of the ones I saw became reality, I would have been as rich as Elon Musk. So reality is much different than numbers on Excel files, and you really need to consider a lot of data. And that goes to the point of data. Be curious and study a lot. The market, the data, study the financials of the competitors, trends, market research, everything. So also today, it's a lot of study to anticipate the trends, also to be on the cutting edge of the market, and so on. And the fifth one is considering all the data, also listen to your gut, because I mean, from my experience, I did more mistakes with my brain than with my gut. So thank you. If you have any question, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you, Paolo. It was really interesting to hear this story, since for us who were born used to digital, it's really interesting to hear how some people found opportunities to invent a new job with the digital boom. I don't know how to call that. So thank you a lot. And I mean, if you have questions, go on. You can even write it in the chat or activate your microphone and just ask it. So.
Hello, Paolo. Thank you. I'm Clara. Thank you very much for your speech. So I have just a quick question. So I saw that Connexia became a benefit company. Why this choice and why now?
Okay, so thank you for the question. I ran out of time, but it was on my list. So in the last few years, we have been working on the purpose of our clients. So you know that today purpose is important, that consumers will choose where to buy depending on the purpose of the brands, their sustainability, and so on. So at one point, we asked ourselves, which is our purpose as an agency, as a company? And so we came out with a few ideas, and a few ideas that we were already doing, and a few ideas where we were helping some no-profit companies with advertising campaigns, with some knowledge sharing, helping them to be better in collecting money, doing communication and marketing. And another point was regarding the people working in Connexia, because the advertising industry has been a very interesting place for young people. It was cool to work in a advertising agency, in a creative agency. But then once in the agency, it was a kind of a nightmare, like working after hours, all night long to deliver the project for a tender or what else. And if you have seen Mad Men, the series, I mean, if you are interested in the advertising creative industry, you should see that series. They won a lot of prizes, and it's a story of an advertising agency from the 50s until the 80s. And but the dynamics are pretty much the same of today. The relation between the client and the agency, the engagement process, the tenders, the pitches, and so anybody that is interested in this industry should see that. So back to the benefit company. So I said that it was cool to work in a creative agency, but then once there was a nightmare. So that was another point that we say, why can't we create a more balanced work-life environment with adding value to talents, doing real learning, and so in the last years we invested quite an amount of resources to create this environment, and I mean that was another point. And I mean, and then the last point is about reducing the impact. So less print, everything digitized, less plastic, no plastic in the company, less travel, and so on. And then in the last few years, the benefit corporations came out. So until a few years ago, there were the benefit companies on one side and the no-profit companies. There was nothing in the middle. But 3-4 years ago, in the US, they created a new type of company that stays in the middle, that has both a profit scope of work and also a no-profit scope of work. It doesn't have to be 50-50, can be 90 profit and 10, or 99 profit and 1% no profit, but it's written in the statute of the company. So also with a strong push of our main shareholder, Marina Salamon, we were the first big creative agency to do this movement. And I can say that after 2 months, we already saw the impact on the market, because we got a lot of attention. We got a lot of more leads. So companies are engaging us to do projects, and because of this knowledge, they prefer us maybe to other agencies that doesn't have this kind of scope in the company.
I would have a quick question. First of all, thank you very much, Paolo, for the speech. I think it was really interesting, especially when you said that sometimes opportunity comes in an unstructured way, and they
absolutely
able to chase them. And even just also when you said the thing about the windsurf thing, so sometimes things don't go as expected, but just go on and find the next opportunity. So like, thank you for this. Sometimes we need to remember.
Yeah, that was exactly the spirit I wanted to transfer. Thank you.
My question is related to this also, like, because you mentioned that, okay, you went through 2001, 2008, like different situations, like economically and like socially, that were critical. So like, what would you suggest to entrepreneurs or young people that are, like exploring now the idea of the job market in this in the situation we are living now, like based on your experience of like past crisis? I don't know how to say this, but the finding the right opportunity from crisis and like getting the best.
So thank you. Again, that was the spirit of my speech, because you can plan whatever you want, but then things goes different because of millions of reasons that maybe some of them you can control, but some other you can't control. So and I said I was lucky also to have the opportunity to start in a growing economy. But I would like to say that crises accelerate the transformation. So sometimes you can find a lot of opportunity in crisis. I mean, we have a lot of examples, and Zoom, the platform we are using, is one of the companies that took advantage of the crisis and grew tremendously in the last 6 months. And there are many other examples, food delivery and a lot of other digital business. So you should be a dreamer, but also realistic. So, and it's very hard to balance those two things, because if you're not a dreamer, you will never go for it. But if you're not enough realistic, you could dream for the rest of your life and never succeed. So it's like you have to dream to invent, to fly the airplane, but you have to be realistic and have the parachute because if something goes wrong. So it's a very hard thing to decide where to put the balance between those two things. But you know, when I started Connexia, I was 30 years old. I had no responsibilities. I had a few little money in the bank because of the previous job. I mean, what could I mean? I couldn't do too much damage. If it didn't work, I could have moved to another thing, like the windsurfing project didn't go through. I moved to another one, and then it came out that the other one was way bigger than the first one. So the advice is to balance the dream and the reality.
Thank you, Paolo. Can we give the opportunity to do one last question, or do you have to?
Yeah, no. Go ahead, please.
Okay, so if you still have other questions, you're welcome.
Yeah, hi, I'm Pilar. Thank you for your speech. And I wanted to ask you if you have any specific teamwork methodology or some like specific values that you always follow when you work in teams in your projects and in the projects that you take.
Yeah, definitely. So if I look at the past, until we were 30-40 people, there was no big methods and process because you could control and manage everything directly. And then let's say from when you grow more than 40 people, you cannot control everything. So you need to have some methods and process, and you need to have some middle management and to delegate. And that is also a problem of the Italian companies, because there is a huge amount of small companies, because some of the Italian entrepreneurs don't do this step. So until 20, 30, maybe 40 people, you can control everything directly, you know, everything by heart. You don't need too much methods and processes. Once you grow, you have to do your duties. So to have a methodology, to have processes, and to control everything. And then I would say that there's a process between 50 and 100 people that works. Then more than 100 people, it's a more complex methods and process. And it starts from the very beginning. So you have to track the leads, you have to track the offers, and to track the pipeline of the offers that you made, because you have to be aware of how much work can come in the next weeks and in the next months to organize it. Then once the contract are signed and the works comes in, then you have to track the how much work you do every day, every week, how much time is left to finish the job. And imagine that you have to do this on a 12 months project or 24 months project. So you have to track everything. And back to the sales process, when you do the offer, you have to talk with all the directors involved in the process, because they have to validate the amount of time that it will be needed to deliver that project, and so that comes the offer. Like 5 people validate their part of the project, and you put everything together and you come out with the offer. So all the process, all the pre-sales and the sales process have their methods and their tracking. All the operations, delivery have their process, and then there is the financial team that is tracking everything, and there are daily tracking, there are weekly tracking, there are monthly measurement, and during the pandemic, all the monthly measurement became weekly, all the weekly measurement became daily, because we had to track how the things was going very close. So yes, the bigger you are, the more complexity you have, but there's a solution of everything. And when I see companies with 2,000 employees, that's another another level. And so compared to that, we are a very small company, but we are, I think we are well organized, and the organization is one of the key factor of the success, because in the years we saw a lot of colleagues, entrepreneur colleagues, that lost control because they didn't do the right process and methods, and at one point they discovered that they were losing a lot of money, but it was too late. So you have to know in advance if things are going good, and you have to prepare for that, and you have to know in advance if things won't be good in the very next future, and then you have to act.
Thank you, Paolo. It's really an opportunity to speak with an entrepreneur with a lot of experience. So thank you. For us as students, it's important to know these insights and suggestions in order to, to better know how to act when we will go out from the school, and maybe we will also dream to start our business or to go working in another company. I mean, it's really precious to hear these suggestions. So I will close the talk now, if it's good. I think that we are running out of time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you a
good
lot.
Luck.
Really. Thank you. And have a good evening to everybody. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.